As Eric drove away in the back of the police car, he saw his father standing there. A place that was once his home now turned into a hellish scene. His mind raced with thoughts, unable to comprehend or think straight. The police officer turned around and told Eric, "I'll take you anywhere. You just have to leave town." Eric mentioned he had $4,000 saved up and could do whatever he wanted. The cop said, "Good. Where do you want to go?" Eric replied, "To the hospital." The cop was hesitant but reluctantly complied and took him there. When Eric arrived at the hospital, he wasn't sure it was a good idea, but he had nowhere else to go. He was back in his hometown, a place from which he'd been absent for years after serving time in prison. Eric thought he would be safe, perhaps even that it was over, but things took a dark turn. The moment the cop left, Eric overheard the nurses talking, saying something about the guy whose father tried to kill him. Eric's heart dropped as he realized they were talking about him. Panicked, Eric thought about calling the police again, but he knew it wouldn't do any good. The nurses continued their conversation, mentioning paralyzing him and shooting him with 12mm beanbags. They were planning to torture him, just like they had intended at the house. Eric felt trapped. When the doctor came in, Eric managed to convince him to transfer him to a different hospital, a big psychiatric facility. Once he got there, he started devising a plan. People kept calling the hospital, asking to speak to Eric, but he was on a no-call list for his safety. However, a nurse brought him a note with his mother's name and number, urging him to call. When he did, his mother demanded his code, which would give her access to all his files and allow her to speak to the doctors. Eric refused, and his mother angrily hung up. The next day, Eric found out he would only be there for 3 days and would be leaving later that day. He told his mother he was leaving in 7 days, afraid of losing his job and everything. His mother dismissively said, "What do you want us to do about it?" The hospital arranged for a taxi to take Eric upon his release. His parents thought he would be stranded, but the taxi arrived as planned. When he got close enough, Eric called another taxi to get him out of state. He returned to his house, packed his belongings quickly, and took another taxi to a motel. After staying there for several hours, he ordered a Greyhound ticket and left for good, hoping to finally escape the nightmare that had consumed his life.